In this homework question, you were told that this is the function, the revenue function, and that x was going to be greater than or equal to 0. Okay, which kind of makes sense because it's revenue, and you're talking about products that you sell to get a revenue. So you would want only positive values or 0, but no negative ones because you wouldn't sell less than nothing, right? So this is the revenue function, and the derivative, remember, is the marginal revenue. And the question asks, for what values of x will the marginal revenue be positive? Okay, so we want, if the marginal revenue is positive, then that means the revenue is increasing. So that's always a good thing. So we have to take the derivative, and we have to use the quotient rule. So my function up here is going to be the top, right? Divided by the 1 plus x, that's the bottom. So here is my derivative, the bottom times the derivative of the top, and remember 200 is a constant, it stays in front, e to the 0.4x, the derivative of that will be e to the 0.4x times the derivative of the exponent, and the derivative of the exponent is 0.4, minus the top function times the derivative of the bottom. And we all know that the derivative of 1 plus x is just 1. All divided by the bottom squared. So here is the function that I need to simplify. Now, you can at this point go to your calculator and punch this in and look at the graph and see where the graph, the y values are above the x-axis, and that will tell you the same thing. Okay, but we are in a calculus class, and so we should know algebra, and we should be able to simplify this algebraically, but I know some of these get really complicated. So if you can get this far using the calculus, and then you go to your graphing calculator, I'm okay with that in this class. All right, but what I'm going to do is I'm looking right here. There is a 200 e to the 0.4x in both of these terms, okay, separated by the subtraction sign. So I'm going to factor this 200 e to the 4x out to the front. And when I pull this one out, I have a 0.4 and a 1 plus x left. Then I have a minus sign, and I have a 1 left in the second term. Because remember, what we would have to do is we would have to take this and distribute through the parentheses to get exactly what we have back up here. Okay, so I know that I factored it correctly. Now I need to simplify this by multiplying the 0.4 through the parentheses in here. So I'll have 0.4 plus 0.4x minus 1. And 0.4 minus 1 is minus 0.6. So this is my simplified derivative. Now what I want to do is take this derivative and figure out where is it positive. Okay. So when I look at this, I know that this is always positive. Positive. And I know that this 200 e to the 0.4x is always positive. So I have a positive times some number divided by a positive number. So whether or not this whole expression is going to be positive or negative really depends on only that factor right there. When that number, 0.4x minus 0.6, is greater than or 0, then that will be, the whole thing will be positive. when it is less than 0, the whole thing will be negative. Okay, I just checked the problem, and it actually says, where is the marginal revenue negative, not positive. So what we're hoping, what we want is for this to be negative, because if this is a negative number, then a positive times a negative is negative. A negative divided by a positive would mean that the marginal revenue is negative. Sorry about that. I read the problem wrong to begin with. And so when I'm solving for this, I'm going to get 0.4x is less than 0.6 and divide by 0.4. So x is less than 0.6 divided by 0.4, 6/10 divided by 4/10 is just the same as 6/4, or 3/2. So that means that x has to be less than 1.5. Okay? But remember that x was already going to be greater than or equal to 0. So that is the value, those are the values for x that the marginal revenue would be negative. If we sold more than 1.5 items, and which would mean 2, right? Because you can't sell less than the unit, then the marginal revenue would be positive, and that would be a good thing. So it's good to know where your marginal revenue would be positive or negative. All right. Hope that helps. Sorry, I read the problem wrong at the beginning, but we were looking for where the marginal revenue is negative.